We're going to analyze Daniel Stahl's World Championship throw. He was in second place, and we're going to start right now. Okay, so if we're looking at this past year's World Championships, the greatest of all time, Daniel Stahl. I'm making the argument. He is the greatest of all time discus thrower. I've made the argument in the past that he's the greatest of all time clean discus thrower. Jumping to conclusions on certain athletes, but I believe he is the greatest of all time. As far as world titles, world medals, performance at Europeans, at continental stuff, and then again, being an Olympic champion, I'm going with Daniel. Now, the crazy part, he's in second place at this throw to the world record holder, to the Olympic silver medalist, to an athlete who will likely go down as the greatest of all time, who's already has, at this point now, 3 world medals, and he's 23. The world record holder. So we have a freaking duel between the world record holder and the greatest of all time. What more could we ask for in the sport? And not only are they doing it, they're doing it in the rain. They're showing why they're the greatest. They're showing that they aren't crybabies. They're showing they're going to get work done and throw really far, even in a wet circle, because that's what the greatest do. That's why Alex Rose got third. Okay, sorry, I had to do this. Throws coaches, how do you peak your throwers at the perfect time? How do you get them to throw as far as possible during championship season? That might be at the state championship level. That might be at the NCAA collegiate level. These are all factors that a lot of throws coaches are struggling with and dealing with. And it comes back to understanding the biomechanics of throwing. It comes back to understanding how to execute technique and how to approach that competition setting with the highest mental degree that you can have. And we're going to provide this all for you guys at the 2025 Throws Coaches Clinic. And we're going to have Dr. Christoph Kipp, Darrell Hill, Diamond League champ, 2016 Olympian, Sam Weeks, who's coached All-Americans and state champs here in Pennsylvania, myself included. We're going to be giving you guys a bunch of presentations, hands-on applied coaching as well, and you're going to be able to take this stuff away to help you become a better coach. This year's Coaches Clinic is November 21st and 22nd here in Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. Sign up down below to get that early bird discount, 20% off. It ends October 31st. Peace. Now, let's just watch Daniel. This was... Okay, I want to just by this point, I wasn't really paying attention because Alex had already gotten third. But I was I walked over to the right and I had seen, I talked with Stefan and Hans a little, moved over. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to watch this. Dude bows. It's almost like the crazy part was in Budapest. You just had the feeling in Budapest it was going to happen. And then you're going into this and you're like, this dude's going to do it again. That the thing, too, we got to remember that a lot of people don't realize is Daniel's first throw of the comp was deep. No one was marking it because he foot fouled it. I would probably argue it was 68 high, 69 mid, somewhere in that range. It was right at 70, right in front of 70. So if we think about the foot foul early when it was pouring, we knew he had it in him. I also, I was at the Diamond League final. I had spent a lot of time with his coach, Stefan. I was able to see him there where Alekna won it. But Daniel had he had a huge warm-up there. A huge warm-up. He also caged a couple throws. And I've seen in the past, when he would cage throws, he would tend to improve that later on. Okay, so that was a 3 to 4 week time difference. So I'll stop talking and I'll let Daniel do the work.
From this World Championship, Mondo Duplantis. Stahl is a 2-time champion. Can he join Lars Riegel and Robert Harting as a 3-time champion of the world? He's guaranteed the silver.
Yeah, I guess it's tough because Robert and Daniel have the exact same medal count now.
But he needs to match.
I think Lars as well, actually.
Has he done it with his last effort? It's soaring out there. Oh, yes!
I think the thing is, though, is the fashion of which he's done it. And
medalist in Tokyo.
There's Stefan and Hans.
He's only gonna nail the biggest throw.
Daniel always does that like, yo, I know I did it. I know I did it. I think at this point...
And Sweden may well have 2 world...
He's probably also thinking like, all right, we got to see what Alekna does because he's the world record holder and he's an absolute dog, right?
Right from the very beginning.
So this is crazy. You're watching this. It's like, yeah, I want to point out, Mikolos threw 62.96, so let's say 63 meters, the first round when it was a total dump. Like, it was like there was a bucket of water just being poured on the stadium. This dude went 62.96. So that was the other thing I want to bring up. A lot of people were like, oh, well, it's the guys that had the most amount of weight that were able to hold themselves in the circle. He only weighs like 250, like 115 kilos. Maybe it's the guys that had the most stable technique that are most confident. And so, like, I want to point that out. He threw all but 63 meters on his first throw. Alex threw 57 meters. Like, that's how good this kid is like, we got to recognize that. And also, I think it's important. This situation will come back in his career. He's got 15 plus more years. This is going to come back and help him.
This would be a ridiculous finish. You know, it's untidy. Stahl. Well, I don't know. Is he going to run a full lap? He can't.
Okay, now let's go back. Let's watch it. Let's check this out. Absolutely fantastic. That whole competition was just so crazy. Like, moment to moment, the delay, the start, the start, the delay, the start, the delay, the delay again. They have a possible vote underneath that they're gonna have. People complaining about safety. You know, I want to put this on YouTube. What happened during the women's shot in the Olympics? Multiple athletes fell over. Did anybody cry and complain during the women's shot? I didn't hear any of the men's discus coaches commenting on Instagram or on YouTube saying, how dare they have this competition for the women's shot? They're falling over. We have women's safety is a concern. They didn't give a rat's ass. And then their guys start to fall and they start to say all this stuff. And dude, I get it. Like, I understand it, but it's like, you didn't care when the women were falling over last year at the Olympics. And then Yemi fell over and came back to win. She came back and won it on the last round after she ate it. But where were you then? Okay, so let's look at it. Let's check it out. I always want to talk about this with Stahl, is like how awesome he is in just... It's like he gets big on the wind. Just gets super big and balanced on the wind, right? Comes out here, long across, right there, balanced on everything. And remember, I brought this up in the past with Daniel. He's flat-footed, so that's another factor that we have to think about. So is Alekna back here. He's also flat-footed. I do want to point that out. Was fortunate enough this past year, too, at the Prefontaine. Sam trained with Daniel. Super strong. Lost a lot of weight this year as well. Lost a fair amount of weight, which I think has helped with his speed. Now, comes out of the back, so we get the pickup right here. Okay, so this is where he's at when he picks up, right there. So his left's over. He's holding that left in line with that left knee. Now we can see this balance point here, and this is where I think the flat feet come in, and also the wet circle. He tended to be a little bit more slightly in on the left because it was hard to really get a good push in that circle. Longer right leg right there, right? Now, the right grounds, and this is reminiscent to me right here. This is super reminiscent of Budapest. This position is almost exactly where he hits in Budapest. And when people hear me say high point up the right sector, this is what I mean. I think if you can hit a high point up the right sector, you tend to get a bigger stretch. Look at how mobile he is as an athlete right there through that right shoulder. And Daniel has this interesting aspect where his left does lead forward here. Okay. Left foot slightly lower, maybe right in line with his knee. Okay. right there. Looks like the left's about the ground. And here he still catches. Look how deep that shoulder is. And then even in this position, he sits through, gets to a flat left foot right there. Knee flexion in the right side. Comes all the way through. Look at the separation here from the hand into the hip. Look at how long he's on the finish. So a lot of athletes are still thinking they need to go up, right? Like they think they have to go up. Daniel is down. He's on it. Now his chest is up. His chest, and he in my mind, when I see him throw, he lifts with his shoulder and his chest, which I think also comes back to the high point here. So I actually think if, as discus throwers, if we think through lifting from the high point and from this position right here, because now the chest is over the right, the left comes down, and then we can see how long his freaking arms are, like right here, right? And it just comes through. And the last point of ground contact, it's almost like the discus is almost out of his hand right here. So then that comes forward. And you can see that that green arrow is where his left foot is, and his right comes almost right next to that. And how's that discus flying? Edge is down, comes all the way back around. Look at that flight of that man. And just goes like this, all the way back in. 70 plus, man. So, Daniel Stahl. Maybe we should have a debate. Who's better, he or Robert Harding? Because I think that'd be a really, really great discussion. Right there, good left side. Boom, all the way around. Absolutely fantastic to watch this. Absolutely fantastic to be a part of this. To share the moment with Daniel and with Hans and with Stefan. Stefan is, I think, one of the most, in my opinion, he is the current greatest throws coach on the planet. He's got Fanny, he's got Victor, he's got Daniel, his other athletes that are absolute studs. I believe he is the number one. And I know that, I don't know if World Athletics does this, but Throws University, I believe it's hard to say he's not the best throws coach in the entire world. I think we got to have a discussion, though, about Daniel versus Robert, who's the greatest. It'd be fun to go back and forth between like their top 5 best throws. So comment down below if you want us to do that next. I hope you guys appreciated this. Being part and witnessing this historic moment was really, really freaking cool. Daniel's stable, and I think that's the big takeaway for a lot of you guys, a lot of the high school coaches, a lot of the high school throwers, is being consistent in the positions, being consistent, being big, being long, getting on a balance point out of the back, getting the right to the middle, being relaxed with the upper body, hitting that early high point, having great mobility, and being strong. We see Daniel on Instagram deadlifting freaking 600 plus pounds. The dude's a specimen. You can't throw far and not be strong. So congrats to Daniel Stahl. Congrats to Stefan. Congrats to Hans as well. If you guys want help with your programming, head over to throwsuniversity.com. You can pick up programming today. Until next time, peace.